So I've been practicing gratitude recently, and one of the things that I have realized I should be grateful for is my voice. I think it's one of the most powerful things I have. Having the power of speech is an incredible thing. Do you remember how amazing it was when, if you have children, when they started to talk, not just because it's a key stage and you can sigh a big sigh of relief that they're actually meeting their growth markers, but because finally we can understand them a little bit better. And it means the frustration of the terrible twos starts to disappear and we can talk to them and they can really communicate their needs to us. The power of language starts then to really make itself known, and we can bond and communicate with others just through the odd, weird, and wonderful sounds that our voice box can make. And it's such fun, really, especially the English language. It's chock full of fantastic words, synonyms, metaphors, and, clever things like onomatopoeia when a word actually sounds like the thing it describes, like sizzle and gargle and hiccup. And I think that helps turn our voice into an instrument. And of course, it is an instrument because you can play it to get the things you want. You can wheedle, cajole, beg, entertain, shout, sell. And you can use this instrument, your voice, to give a performance. And, that's great when we're doing presenting or public speaking or giving a talk at an event. You can play really different roles with your voice, can't you? You can, like you put on a costume or an outfit, just as you wear different things to different events. You can use different tones of voice when you speak to different types of audiences. Now, I use this myself when I'm acting as an MC, and I also teach it to people in my presentation training sessions if they need it. There are essentially 4 vocal roles, and your tone of voice should change depending on the role you're taking. So you might be playing the motivator, you're someone who's inspiring today in your speech, or you're going to be the educator, you're informing people. The other thing you can be is the coach. So you be quite directive and assertive when you're talking, and the colleague style, the more collegiate style, which is chatty and informal. And there are vocal tricks that you can apply to employ these different roles and help your voice change and expand. So, for example, you can change the timbre of your voice by altering things like the pitch, the volume, and the pace. Our voices are really flexible when speaking, and that helps us weight certain words with our tone. But then we can also have the tendency to lose that flexibility when we're nervous, public speaking, for example. So, if you think about projection, can the person at the back of your room hear you? So that it's not just about volume, but it's about enunciation. You're not just going to shout, you're going to make sure they hear every word. That's one way of doing it. Then what about pace, the speed? So if it's too fast, it's going to become too difficult for the listener to follow. If it's too slow, then you're going to lose momentum and your audience is going to lose interest. So some good advice, well, certainly for people like me, is to go slower than you think you should, because chances are you'll be speeding up if you're nervous. Think about, could someone be taking notes from what you're saying? That's a good consideration. I mean, not word for word, that would be too slow, but could they be jotting down the odd word? Tone is super important because we know how deadly monotone is. It's just sends you to sleep, as is when a voice is really nasally. Sometimes this can happen when people recite knowledge that they know really well, and it just becomes quite sing-songy. If you think about when you get on an aeroplane, the stewardess or the steward, when they talk to you, they might sound, really normal actually when you get on the plane. Like they'll say hello and enjoy your journey, and then suddenly they'll get onto the microphone to talk to the people on the plane, to talk to everybody, and their voice will become very, hello ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to this flight to Milan, la 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 la, and it's deadly to hear. So that can happen when you're just repeating something by rote, and it's very boring, and it's not easy to listen to, is it? We switch off as soon as they start doing it. So that's what I'm talking about there with the sing-song nasally voice. Now, the balance between confident and authoritative and friendly and approachable is really what you are looking for. So, pausing, this is my greatest tip, I think, because space is super important for us to consider what we've just heard, to allow us to take in things. It's also something you can use to tee up a great new thing you're going to talk about, or to kind of provide shock, or even just for you to take a breath. It's such a useful thing. It actually can be more important than an actual word if you're using it to sort of create suspense. Now, practice. This is something that I think is really important. It's really cringy. I think sometimes we think, I don't want to do this, I hate my voice. But if you record yourself and you practice, you will get used to the sound of your voice and it will start to feel very natural. And it becomes less cringy, I suppose, and more like a good friend who you are happy to hear from. And if you are happy to hear from yourself, if you are happy with the sound and the tone and the pitch and the pace, it'll then be so much better for those listening to you as well.